So in this video, I'm going to talk about focusing, give some tips on how to help yourself focus better. This video really goes out to my students who are working on their essays right now, but the advice you can use for anything, whether you're studying, essay, art project, whatever you're doing. My first tip for focusing is choosing a set task and time. And this one I found has helped me a lot. Don't just go in and be like, I'm going to work on my essay or I'm going to work on my art project. You can easily get distracted doing things that are less important, kind of relevant to that task, and then you goes on for hours until you're exhausted and you haven't really accomplished the important parts of what you needed to do. So what you're going to do is choose a time that you know works for you. If you are someone who has trouble focusing, maybe start with half an hour, and you're going to work up with time focusing. As you practice, you're going to get better at it. So choose a time that works for you, and then a task that you are confident you can get done in that time. So for example, for your essay, you might say, I'm going to work for 45 minutes, and I'm going to write the first section of the body. That's it. So what it does is several things. It stops you from just trying to push through long amounts of time, and what happens is you get tired, and then when you're tired, you're really not using your time efficiently, and you're just wasting your time. It also helps hold you accountable. If you have a set time for getting something done, you are less likely to be like, oh, I'll just do this quick, I'll do this quick. You're going to stay focused because you want to get it done in that set amount of time. It's like giving yourself a deadline. Also, because you have a small chunk that you know you're working on, you're a little more motivated because you know it's something, oh, I'm going to get this done and out of the way, and you know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to finish it, okay? So it helps your motivation in that sense. Choose which you want to prioritize, and depending on what you're working on and your personality, different things might be different. Some people prioritize time. They set a timer. They work for their, 30 minutes or hour, whatever it is. They stop. They take a break. That's fine. For me, I have trouble if I'm right in the middle of something. I have trouble stopping, even if it's a timer. So I try to focus on choosing a task that I know is going to take me about that amount of time. And when I finish that task, I stop. Now, if I find that my task is taking way longer, I may go ahead and take a break before I've finished it. But that time just feels more productive if I've actually finished something, it's completed. And that way I don't have to stop right at a good moment when I'm in the flow of things and working. The next bit of advice is choose triggers. This can be about various objects. It can be music, it can be location. Choose things that you're going to associate with working on that project. Keep them consistent. So location is a big one. If you have a desk or a table to work on, that's ideal. Avoid things like sitting in bed and working, because your bed you associate with sleep, relaxation. Your brain is going to have trouble focusing and being really alert while you're in the bed. Same thing with the kitchen or the dining table, somewhere where you're used to eating. You're going to have trouble focusing, and your brain's going to keep thinking about food or something like that. So you need a place where you can just focus on your work, and that you're going to use as your space for working. Also, it could be various objects. You might have a favorite pen or, a lineup of pencils, whatever you have that you have there when you're working, that's just going to help you kind of trigger, like, this is my work pen. So you focus more and you're in that working mode. Music can be helpful. I would say avoid music with words, because words can become a distraction. But if you have a set playlist, so you're kind of always listening to the same music when you're working, it can help you. It can be that trigger to put you in that mode of doing your work. The third thing is, this is something we all know, but you need to do it. You need to get rid of the distractions, get rid of the cell phone, get rid of the messenger, get rid of whatever it is. They need to be gone. And here's the thing, not just putting it aside and deciding not to look at it or whatever. Psychology and studies show that when you place it aside, there's still a portion of your brain that's thinking about it. Or when you're working on the computer and you have that messenger tab in the background, even if you're not actually checking it, there's still a portion of brain that's thinking about it. Your willpower to not check it can be worn down. That temptation can grow over time, and as you go, you're more likely to check it. Also, even if you don't check it, it nags on the back of your brain and it actually takes away some of that brain power and some of that focus. So you can't just put the distractions to the side. You have to completely get rid of them. Whatever you need to do, turn off the cell phone, put it in another room. Don't even open Facebook or Messenger or any of that. In fact, if you're working on something like an essay or something, you could not even open the internet. You could just pull up Word, start typing. If you have an art project, if you have a project that you could do on paper and get rid of the computer altogether, if that helps you, do it. But anything you need to do to get rid of those distractions, because even if you're not opening them, they are wearing on your brain and they are taking away from your focus. Fourth and final, do not multitask. I know you might feel like you're getting more done. It might feel more efficient, but it's really not. So consistently, the studies, the psychology shows that when you're multitasking, you're really not doing two things at once. You're switching quickly back and forth between the two tasks. So what happens is your brain is losing time in all that switching, and you're not really doing either task as well. You need to have your one task, set your task in your time, like I said, and stick with it. The only exception to that where you might be able to multitask is when you have something that's very automatic, such as walking. So you might be able to read and walk at the same time, or study and walk at the same time. But anything where you really have two things going, where you're like reading while listening to a video or something like that, it really does not work. So don't. So yeah, these are 4 things that have really helped me, and things that I've heard that I know consistently help people. There is science behind this as well. I just haven't cited it all. So do it. Pick your time and task. Get your triggers, your space organized. Make sure to get rid of all the distractions. Do not multitask. Sit down, focus, and get your work done.